Hi guys, it's Copper Cutlass, and I really have to thank my friend Sean, who I went over to his place today, gave him a little bit of advice and tips on his own personal project, and between the last video and this one, he offered up a pretty good shape 67 Cutlass fender, the passenger side, and there's a few differences between the two. You know, the difference being the inner braces are different between what I have and what is there. And I don't know what's been what and who's been who, but we're kind of making do with what we got here, right? So we are going to be trimming back the fat. So like a lot of this sheet metal here is dead weight. I'm going to trim a bunch of this back. We're just going to keep the front mounting points for the fender because, you know what? That's really all you need. It's not necessary. We're going to trim back some of the brace, and I still have to use the brace for reference. So, and this is where it gets tricky because this brace on this fender is not the same as this brace on this fender. This does not match that one. That's a 67. I'm assuming this is a 67 if it's the same brace, unless they came from a different plant. It's the only thing I can think of. I really do not know what the difference is. Maybe somebody who's good with 66, 67 Cutlasses can explain that to me, because I know the 65s were different. Essentially what I have to do is I need a good reference point. And this hole here isn't on this one, so I can't use that. But the brace pretty much is identical following this curve. It doesn't have this little embossment here, that little ridge where this hole is, because this one isn't here. But it does have this little cutback in here before we get to our flat. And even then, it's going to be a little dicey because I have to cut back this brace so that I can overlap my fender into position with the old sheet metal in place and make my scarf cut. Not really a scarf cut. I'm going to do a scribe and a cut. But I have to bring back this brace, okay, which I may have to weld back in, but that's fine because I need to figure out my height. And I'm determining my height off of this original brace for this fender, and I'm putting this one here. So we're like a puzzle piece. We're taking out a puzzle piece so that we can put the topical piece on and then bring the puzzle together with the inner. And then from there, we'll figure out if we're going to trim, like, a good chunk of this brace off and lighten it up for him. So I have work to do. As I cut, as I weld, as I splice, I will make little entries here, and we'll see how you guys like it. I am realizing I'm not nearly as patient for this shit as I used to be, and it's probably for good reason. I've been doing it almost 20 years, and, I kind of, that's why my car looks beaten, tethered, and like I don't care. I mean, it looks good. I mean, I do take care of it, but this thing's just a beaten mule. But we're going to get after it, and hopefully we'll have a few more little updates. And of course, for that fender, we have that to use, which is a patch panel, which is nice. It's going to work out to our benefit pretty good. So we're going to see what we got going on here. We're going to start off with this one so that if we need to mirror anything, we can mirror it into that one, since this one is mostly OE stuff that we're going to be going with. So that way we can figure out dimensions as well, because we do have to fix the braces to some extent for the bottom on this one, mainly to establish our length. But that's neither here nor there. We'll see you guys. All right, guys, sorry for that little swoopy doop there, but this panel right here is in place and I scribed it. So you really can't see my scribe line because I got it in there. This is way too high, but if we reference this spot weld, we're going to be pretty good. I did have to cut into the side of the fender, which we'll weld up later, to cut the brace out. Right there you can see where there's a chunk out of it. But that's not a big deal at all because we can put in a little piece. Again, the piece of the puzzle that we need is we need to put the exterior of the fender in the correct spot. The fact that our factory spot welds lined up, and they're somewhat close, but I can tell that we're hitting the part of the body line here where I need to is good. But the front of the fender still has to come up because we have an overlap here. So now what I need to do is remove this to show you guys better, but you might be able to make out my scribe line. I can see it right here, this thin little line right here that follows from here through here. I have to cut that there. And then it's also going to allow me to bring the panel further into the proper position where I need it, which will effectively bring us closer into the brace area. And we're going to maintain, because this one we cut right on the body line. But the important part is to maintain the length so that everything jives well. And that's what we're trying to do here. So I'm going to go ahead, cut this, and then show you guys what happens afterwards. All right, guys, so I made my cut. As you can see, it's pretty good. Our leading edge is great. Like I said, I did end up notching the back of the brace. We got a piece here for filler. I think it goes somewhat like that. Sorry about pointing it to the floor. But we're going to end up using this piece as filler, if we even choose to do so, because I was going to remove part of the brace anyway, as it's really not needed. But since we are welding on the leading edge of the body line, I am going to have to add a little bit of support to avoid the fender from flexing in the body line, which is something I didn't really think about till after the fact. But our actual resistance weld lined up pretty good. And we're right, we pretty much cut the old one on the body line. As you can see, we got a little bit of daylight, which is good. You want that gap for your butt welding. Now, this is where you guys might give me a little bit of shit. But on the arc here where I'm patching it, I am going to brace that with another piece. I didn't really care about how I cut it, which is how I ended up with that pie cut. But we're going to take a piece of the old section here, which will fit in there. And I'm going to end up doing 2 plug welds, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then I will stitch weld across the inside, and then on the outside grind it down and just finish it off with a little bit of filler. And that will be to reinforce this fender on the inside part. But for now, all we're going to do, because again, keep in mind, I have to figure out how it's going to be on the car, where it's going to be on the car, and all that fun stuff. For now, we have to tack weld this. I have to go over to my buddies, put it on the car, and see where we are at. Because, again, not having the car, not having the lengths, not following anything, it's hard to gauge stuff. Now, I know we're close, because if you look at the wheel arc, everything is pretty damn uniform, right? And again, I don't have like my butterfly clamps here, which I forgot to bring, but that would have made things better. And but everything is kind of like sitting where it needs to be. Our angles look good as far as in here. And I think from here, you know, I'm going to end up throwing like a tack weld here on the corner, one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. And we're going to put it in the car and see what it looks like. So this is like a major step forward in what we have to do. Now, obviously, it's going to get transported, so I do have to somewhat keep things kind of firm, which is why I'm welding it. But I have some round stock that I'm probably going to tack weld in a couple of areas just for to keep it from bending, because since we are welding on a body line, what makes it just a little tricky is that it will move. But it's not the biggest, you know, end of the world situation. Because, again, I have to put it on the car, and I have to figure out to match the door edge. So, again, it's impossible to do this job without the car in front of me, which is why I have to tack weld it, take it there, and then lock it in over there. He's got a welder. This is just not an ideal situation to do this, but I've kind of done stuff like this in the past. When I patched the fenders on my car, I did them that way, and it worked out because I didn't have a welder here like I do now, which is buried somewhere back there. So tomorrow my buddy's going to bring by an argon CO2 mix tank. I'm going to get these tacked up and ready to go, and then from there we will move forward. So the procedure for the next fender might be a little bit different, but I'm going to cap off this video right here for the driver's side fender, and we're going to move forward and start on the other one, because the other one's going to be a little bit different. We do have a patch panel that changes things because it's not an OE piece that we are literally kind of just put back in its location. You cut, you trim, you fit, you do your blah, blah, blah. And again, without a complete brace, it makes it hard, and it was going to be even harder to try to do an overlap on the brace and do a scarf cut like I wanted to. So this way, you know, we got it going on here, and everything's pretty good. Not much elsewhere you can go. The only variance will be the in and out at the bottom, which is what I am most worried about. But using everything as a reference, you know, we are pretty good there. So on that note, I will let you guys go. Share, like, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram as Copper Cutlass, and we'll see you guys around. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. We'll let you go.